Hello friend, my name is Raza Masood. Today we will discuss about law of diminishing returns. First of all, I would like to tell you that this is a very basic concept and very easy to understand. So let's start our tutorial. First of all, I would request to please subscribe to my channel and click on the bell option. So let's start. What is basically a law of diminishing returns? Friend, law of diminishing returns states that at some point adding an additional factor of production result is smaller increase in output. This is basically a definition. First of all, remember that it is basically a economic measures. The term is basically related to economics and project management. In project management we use this terminology or methodology to select a project. Basically it is a major economic measure for project selection. Whenever we are selecting a project, we use different criterias, we consider different measures. So out of which one measure is law of diminishing returns. As a project manager, you should know the concept of law of diminishing returns, and in the PMP exam as well you would see few questions. So just try to first understand the concept. What is law of diminishing returns? Law of diminishing returns, friend, tells you that for example, if you are working in a factory, so if you increase the resources, you would get the work would also returns or work would also increase. For example, if you are adding resources, the work would increase at some point. You are more adding more resources, the work are becoming great. After some time the work become perfect, and after perfection there would be no increase. Still, if you are adding resources, so there would be no returns, the result would be same. So this is the point where at which the adding of resources would not increase the work or returns, and after some time the work would be decreasing, or the results or returns would be decreasing, or and if you are still adding resources, there would be no result in terms of returns or results. So what does that mean? Basically it means that the law of diminishing returns tells you that if you are adding resources, so it will you will be getting results, but after some time the increase in resources would not increase in terms of returns or in terms of result. In fact, it will decrease the result if you are adding still more resources. What does that mean? That if you are working in a company, if you are doing some work, so one factor, if you are considering one factor, it can give you more results. And if you are putting more effort in one point, in one consideration, one factor, so it will give you more results. But after some point of time, the perfect level will came, and after the perfection time, if you add more resources, if you add the similar factor, it will not give you the increase of result or increase of returns, but however, in fact, it will decrease the result. So guys, are you getting my point? Law of diminishing returns is very simple. Let me give you another example from here. For example, a factory employs workers to manufacture its products, and at some point the company operates at an optimal level. With other production factors constant, adding additional factors beyond this optimal level will result in less efficiency operations. What does that mean? Friend, let me tell you one thing. For example, you are working in a company, and one resource in a company will give you, for example, one module. And if you are adding two resources, so if you are adding one more resource, so it will give you two modules against the two resources, three modules against the three resources. But after some time, for example, after five resources, it will the modules will not increase and it will remains the same. And in fact, if you will still increasing the resources at that point, the efficiency will become decreasing. Why? Because the coordination between the resources will become complex and it will decrease the level of efficiency. So adding factor or adding resources, it will give you results, but after some point of time the perfect level will came, and the adding of more resources, adding of similar factor will not give you results. I can also give you one more example. If you are working in a software house and one programmer give you one modules, similarly two programmer give you three modules, and three programmer give you three module, but after, you can say, after five programmers, there would be no advantage, then there will be no use to adding more resources, because see, the thing is that it will not give you more resources, because the communication among the resources will increase and it will decrease the efficiency level as well. Okay, so just try to understand that adding more adding one factor will give you result, but after some time a point will came that after that point there will be no result, or there will be no use to adding the same factor. Okay, you can consider another factor or some other factor to increase the productivity, but adding same factor after some time, it will not give you the result in productivity manner, and in fact it will decrease the productivity. So this is called the law of diminishing returns. You can also, I can give you another third example as that, for example, if you have to work, if you have to complete a task in 30 days, you can say that five resources can deliver a task in 30 days, and 10 resources can do the task in 15 days, and 15 resources can do the task in 10 days. But remember one thing, if you add one more resources, it is not like that the 20 resources can do the task in for example, you can say in 5 days, and 25 resources can do the task in 0 days. It is not the case, because adding resources will give you result, but after some time a point of level is came where adding of resources will not give you returns or will not give you result. In fact, it will decrease the efficiency level, it will decrease the level of productivity. So you have to understand that the adding of one factor will give you a result at some point of level. After a point, at some point of time, the productivity will remain same, or will decreasing still, if you are still adding resources, if you are adding still same factors. You can say you can add another, say, some other factors, so but adding same factor will give you result to some point of time, but after some point of time the productivity will be decreasing if you are adding the same factor. So this is the law of diminishing. If we talk about related to PMP exam, in the PMP exam, friend, you would definitely see the term law of diminishing, but remember, there would be no calculation that you have to do some sort of calculation. Whenever we talk about project selection methodology or economic measures to select a project, as a project manager or in the PMP exam, in the multiple choice questions, you would definitely see the law of diminishing, but no more. Like for example, I think about 3 to 4 questions in the multiple choice option, you would see the option of law of diminishing. As a project manager, you would definitely have knowledge as what does that means, or law of diminishing, what is the main concept of law of diminishing, and how we are using, and where we how we can use it. The use is basically law of diminishing is basically the economic measure for project selection. It is basically economic term whenever we talk about project selection, and as a project manager you should have the knowledge, you should have the concept of law of diminishing returns. And in the PMP exam, remember one thing, that you don't need to do any type of calculation. You would see the law of diminishing in the multiple choice option. In the multiple choice option you would see the law of diminishing. You just have you would see around 3 to 4 questions in multiple choice options in which you see the law of diminishing, and you should have the concept that what is the law of diminishing returns, and you have to select the option according to the question. Okay, so but there's no need of any type of calculation, or there's no need to do any more calculations or mathematical calculation. That is not needed. Only the concept is required of law of diminishing. According to the law of diminishing concept, law of diminishing, you should select the option. So remember one thing, friend, it is basically a economic term at which you would select the project, and as a project manager you should have a good knowledge, a good concept of law of diminishing. So friend, that's all from my side. I have taken lots of your time. Hope I have tried my level best to explain the concept of law of diminishing. If you like, please share it with your friends and colleagues. If you have any question, please do ask from me. I would love to answer your questions. And many thanks. I'm very thankful for you for giving me time and watching the video. Thanks a lot, and thank you. Thanks a lot.